Have you ever cheated before?
Not with another human.
What did you say?
Not with another human.
What do you mean?
I cheated on my boyfriend with his dog.
Oh my God!
I was a golden retriever.
I mean, how did your boyfriend find out?
He opened the door and I was in the doggy position with his doggy.
Now that's fucked up.
Stop telling trans people that we're inspirational.
Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing.
This question, given the test results that so far are showing no contamination, he was asking if you and the other authorities would allow your children to drink the water. Would you allow your children to bathe in the water?
You know, what I would say is if those homes have been tested, and if those homes have been tested by the state and given a clean bill of health, yes, as a father, I trust the science, I trust the methodology that this state is using, and as a parent, I would.
Are you sure?
Administrator, let me ask you real quick. Would you allow your children to touch the water? We've seen the rainbow sheen. We've seen, you know, all these chemicals popping up from the bottom of the streams that these kids used to play in. Would you allow your kids anywhere close to these streams right now?
I would not. I'm a father of a 9-year-old.
Bruh.
I think we have to all agree that we wish this accident didn't occur. The accident occurred, and as a result, some of our creeks and our streams have pollution in them.
As a father, I trust the science, I trust the methodology that this state is using, and as a parent, I would.
He's an asshole.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
The people closest to Putin, those who have to deal with him, those who he's keeping at the end of 40-foot tables while he issues bizarre orders, they're the ones who need to act. They need to act for the good of Russia. They need to stop him. Whether or not this has turned into some kind of physical or mental problems that he either had or has in some way come down with, we don't know. But his behavior is dangerous, and it's dangerous to the future of Russia. So my hope is that the people who are watching him, those who get close enough to see in person his behavior, which is so erratic, that they can try to prevent him from doing things that will not only be tragic for Ukraine, but tragic for Russia, too. This should be stopped for Russia's sake.
This bitch.
Who are you? What are you? Who moved the rock?
When I was at Walter Reed all that time after a couple craniotomies, I was lying there, and I had a nurse named Pearl Nelson, military. She'd come in and do things that I don't think you learn in medical school, nursing school.
Mother of God, I thought. Here it comes.
She'd whisper in my ear. I couldn't understand her, but she'd whisper, she'd lean down. She'd actually breathe on me to make sure that there was a connection, a human connection. She even went home and brought back her pillow from her own bed because she knew the one I had, the one comfortable. But I'm not joking.
Grin, grin, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
My dad used to say everybody needs a little bit of breathing room. Just a little bit of breathing room. At the end of the month, can you, in fact, pay your bills and still be certain your family's going to be okay? And you say, well, how can that be, Joe? Well, right now, the government, our tax dollars pay out through Medicare the help for the prescription drugs. If they have to pay out $159 billion less.
You do not know what you are talking about.
Listen, you do not know shit about fuck, my man.
I'm going undercover as a woman to find out what they go through every day.
And then?
I discovered that women are called faggot a lot.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Bright.
Then do
Available.
and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There's a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
Well, if you happen to live in Chicago, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is you're not going to have to look at this ugly fucking mug anymore. The bad news is you live in Chicago. I couldn't resist that one. But seriously, it's not like she's gonna be replaced by somebody who isn't corrupt. Chicago is a machine politics city, and all big cities are very corrupt when it comes to politics, and Chicago is probably the most corrupt. So while this probably won't lead to any kind of positive, substantial changes, it's nice to see her thrown out on her arrogant ass. And of course, she tried to blame it all on racism and misogyny. They just didn't want to have a strong black woman as mayor because, I don't know, patriarchy or some bullshit. That would be a much less stupid argument if you were just somebody who was trying to get elected and then didn't make it, as opposed to somebody who actually got elected and was mayor. And then all of a sudden the city got so racist and misogynist that they couldn't handle having a strong black woman. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that she was threatening to lock people up during the COVID lockdowns for daring to have fucking parties, while she herself flouted the lockdowns to go and get her hair did. And when asked about it, she goes, "Oh, well, I have to. I'm the mayor. I'm on TV. I have to be able to go get my hair did."
Don't make us treat you like a criminal. But if you act like a criminal and you violate the law and you refuse to do what is necessary to save lives in this city in the middle of a pandemic, we will take you to jail, period.
No house parties this year. Sorry.
Whatever will she do for a job now? There's what I'm sure she'd like to do, and then there's what she's most qualified to do. Well, whatever, she's gone now. And on behalf of all of America, I'd like to say, bye, Felicia. We also had this new hit piece against Chaya Raichik come out. She was the lady who started the Libs of TikTok account, and then got outed about a year ago by that crybaby at the Washington Post.
It's horrifying. I'm so sorry.
You're fine,
it's overwhelming. It's really hard.
Of course, that did nothing but gain her a ton of followers, so they're back at it again with this, "Oh, Chaya Raichik amassed millions of followers by attacking queer people, and now she's being rewarded for that by speaking at CPAC." She amassed millions of followers by attacking queer people, simply by reposting their videos. Attacking is a strange word to use, you know? All she did was repost the videos that they themselves publicly posted. It's just that because of the little algorithms, a lot of the people on TikTok would only be seen by other fellow crazy people. That's all she did. All she did was aggregate this shit, highlight it, and show it to a wider audience. And I can guarantee you this lady gets as many death threats as anybody in the world. I don't even ever care about making any money doing this shit. I just hope I get to a point where I start getting death threats. That's when I'll feel like I've really accomplished something. Like that old saying goes, you know you're over the target when you're taking the most flack. And besides, nothing makes you feel more alive than people threatening to kill you. And of course, this is brought to you by the people at Vice, purveyors of such gems as this. What it means if you're a straight guy who wants gay sex.
I got news for you. That means you're gay.
We're reaching the point where satire and parody are almost irrelevant now. Almost every day I see an article that I'm like, at first glance, this has to be satire, right? Nope. And the same goes for this one. Climate change is changing babies in the womb, and they're more susceptible to heart disease. At first glance, you'd think this has to be a fucking joke. But no, they're doing everything they can to explain why all of a sudden kids are having strokes and heart attacks now. And ooh, climate change is causing babies to have heart disease. Well, I guess anything that you can't blame on Putin, it must be because of climate change. I guess they weren't having too much luck blaming strokes on napping regularly. and saying that, ooh, video games could cause cardiac arrest, amongst the 100 other things they're trying to blame all these newfound health problems on, as if any of these things are what's changed in the past 2 years. A truly scientific mind would want to look for the variable in all this, you know? What has changed? What did we start doing differently in the past 2 years? But I suppose that's just a little too much to ask. Please, consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video, or leaving a comment. Because every time you do nothing, Vladimir Putin will shoot another puppy. And now for some reason, all of a sudden, the Department of Energy, of all people, came out and said, yeah, well, we think that this virus leaked from a lab. And everybody from NBC to TMZ reported it as breaking news. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Of course, then you had asshats like Jimmy Kimmel going on fucking Damage Control, trying to say, oh, well, they say this with low confidence. I mean, we don't know for sure. We've never known. Oh yeah, that's kind of the point. People lost their jobs, people got shut down, people got removed off the fucking web because you didn't know? Nah, see, you were saying, oh, that's ridiculous that it could have come from a lab. It definitely came from a just natural jump. And all these people that got silenced, oh, what, because we weren't sure? And this whole assumption that if it did leak from a lab, it must have been an accident. They always refer to it as the possibility of an accidental lab leak. If we don't even know whether or not it was leaked from a lab, how the fuck do we know that if it was leaked from a lab that it was totally an accident, just a big boo-boo? But now all of a sudden we're willing to kinda sorta throw the Chinese under the bus. And if the CCP had any brains at all, they'd come out and say, oh, of course that leaked from lab, you motherfuckers pay for it. I mean, that's where they got the goddamn funding with from EcoHealth Alliance through a grant from the NIH that Fauci signed off on personally. But all of a sudden, oh, well, maybe it was an accident. Is this what they meant when they threatened the Chinese not to send weapons to the Russians? Oh, you better not send those weapons. If you do, we'll suggest that the virus was accidentally leaked. They're not gonna care. There isn't anything we can threaten them with that really scares them. Their goal is ultimately to be the world's superpower and dethrone the US from that spot. And so NATO losing with this Ukraine war and looking stupid in the process is only going to further that objective. And now we've wed ourselves so tight to the Ukrainian government that they're basically a de facto member of NATO now. When you sit there and say, we are not going to abandon you no matter what the cost, we're going to help you defeat the Russians, it's ultimately the same shit. We're just being more sneaky and underhanded about the way we're going about things. And this dipshit cokehead Zelensky sure isn't helping his cause out very much. He'd do better to just keep his fucking mouth shut.
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight. Because it's nature that we're talking about, and they will be dying, God forbid, because it's a horrible thing.
And see, that little comment right there has soured a lot of people to their full-fledged support of the Ukraine, and I stand with Ukraine. What, my sons and daughters gotta go over there?
Fuck you.
Even people that were up till now like, oh, you know, Putin's a fucking asshole, blah, blah, blah. And now a lot of them are starting to think twice. And we knew that day would come, didn't we? It's easy to talk tough behind your keyboard over the internet. Especially when the bullets and bombs are flying on the other side of the fucking planet. But then the thought of, oh, my sons and daughters? And there's some other moves being made that really haven't gotten any attention lately, but we just had commanders of the Nuclear Strategic Force relieved of command. And the official answer is, oh, well, it's because of confidence issues. But confidence of what? From the outside looking in, I mean, you have to take into account what this looks like to somebody like the Russian military. To them, it kind of sort of looks like you're ready to fucking launch some shit, and you're afraid that they might not have a steady enough hand to go through with it, which isn't the smartest signal to send to them. Unless, of course, you want this to escalate to nuclear war.
Aha! Aha!
And we also had the Boeing E-6B, more commonly known as the Doomsday plane, get sent to Iceland. This is not a normal occurrence. Those things normally stay in the US. If we do go to DEFCON 1 and the nukes start flying, that's going to be the command and control. It's like the Pentagon of the sky, and it's perfectly capable of sending all the orders to the subs to launch those missiles. So the fact that we sent that shit over to Iceland sends another dangerous and stupid signal. And there was also a drone attack on an airfield in Belarus, destroying one of Russia's $300 million AWACS spy planes. And then some Ukrainian saboteurs crossed over into southwestern Russia into a small town where they took fucking hostages. But the thing to really watch out for is when Russia expels the ambassador and all the diplomats from Moscow, kicks them all out of the fucking country. That's when you know shit's about to really get crazy. I mean, that could happen in a matter of days, weeks, months. It could go on for years. That's the nature of war. Once these things start, it's really hard to control the direction they go and the speed. But it's hard to see this going in any other direction other than off of a fucking cliff. The only real hope we got is if in the US, the anti-war movement starts growing exponentially and fast. And even then there's no guarantees, because that just could force the military-industrial complex to set off a nuke or something somewhere and blame it on the Russians and kick the shit off themselves. If Putin doesn't want to take the bait, they can make it happen. There's always that possibility. But even if that's the way it goes down, I'm not going to just go ahead and assume that it's a hopeless cause, because then there's no point in doing anything, and that is no way to live. Slancha.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy.
me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! You stupid fuck! Look at you now! Look at you now!